So now once you have the end of your winch line and you're coming to the anchor or the anchored vehicle that you're going to attach your rigging to, we're going to show you the next steps of how to properly get everything put together to be ready to start your winch pull. So you come down here, you have this center part, you have the center mount of the center mount of the back of the vehicle with a frame attached mount back here with a hitch receiver shackle mount. So in this sense, you can use one of two devices as a connection point, like we discussed earlier. One of those can be a soft shackle, or it could be one of the anchor shackles. And it works in a few different ways. First off, you can simply, if they have the shackle sitting out here on the bumper, you can take the shackle and pull it right off, and then just interface that with the back end. So that way you can thread this one in, so that way you have a secure attachment point with a steel shackle. If you don't have a steel screw pin anchor shackle, but you have a soft shackle, it works in the same way. You can simply have this attachment hole, and now you can take your soft shackle, you simply open this up, the knot falls out, you're gonna pull this straight, that's gonna go right through the hitch receiver shackle mount. Then you can put that through your winch line shackle mount or the hook throat opening. So you can feed that through your closed system shackle mount hole. You can open up the back end of the noose, and then you can take the knot of the soft shackle right through here, and then it'll simply close up. And that is one way of rigging with the soft shackle. The other method is that you could attach the soft shackle through here and then simply attach it with a hook throat opening. Now it's always key to remember that even with an ultra hook or with any conventional winch hook, the hook throat opening, this little gate right here, should always be facing the sky. The reason being, if there's any rigging failure, this could open up and it'll shoot the energy towards the ground instead of, if it's down like this, shooting the energy back at the vehicle behind you. So it's a very key point to always remember to come in and hook up from the bottom. You never want to come and hook down, always hook up. The safest method is always going to be using a closed system shackle mount, and so this right here is a perfect rigging setup in order to start at the connection point for your single line winch pull.
All right, the next step after he's properly rigged it to the anchor vehicle is to use our winch line damper so that should something break, this will force the line to go to ground. So this is the way this just folds over the top of the winch line. And I like putting the damper closest to the connection point. And the reason being is because if something's going to give, it will probably be the connection point. So it's nice to have a damper, at least one, near the connection point on the anchored Jeep or on the tree or on the boulder, whatever anchor we're using. So this is near the connection point. Plus, if it's near the connection point, it's not going to run into the winch. It's not going to be close to the winch. We want this further away. This is where, if something breaks, the line's gonna flow up. So there's the winch damper for this particular single line pull.
In some cases, a second damper, if you have them available, can also be put about halfway down the line. So that way you have one that's close to the rigging components to prevent any recoil from the rigged vehicle, but then you also have one down in the middle. So that way, you know, two is always better than one.
All right, after we've got the rigging set up and the dampers on, then what we're gonna do, just to make it easier for this stuck vehicle to get unstuck so the winch doesn't have to work so hard, we're gonna get down here making sure the engine's off, he's not gonna roll. We're gonna move away some of the terrain so that it doesn't have to work so hard to pull itself out. And sometimes this is really important when you're in the snow and you're in the sand and the mud. You need to remove as much terrain in front of the tires as you can, because this vehicle actually spun its tires and digged down a little bit before he got off the gas. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to walk back. We're going to have this vehicle that is stuck, that has the winch, that's using the winch. We're going to have him put a little tension on the rigging setup. So go ahead and pull it in there, Chris. We're going to check our rigging with just a little bit of tension on it. Everything looks fine. Dampers in place. All right, drivers, let's go ahead and start your engines and put your vehicles in the proper brake and transmission settings. Now what we need to do is Justin and I need to move away from the high tension line. And the best place of safety for Justin and I is at the front of the anchored vehicle. So we're gonna both walk to the front of the anchored vehicle so we're nowhere near the tension line.
And remember, to be safe, everyone should stand at least 1.5 times the length of the line away from the pulling area. The further away, the better. Also, bystanders should not be standing downhill of recovery operations. Spectators should be made aware that should any part of the rigging break, the trajectory of broken pieces can fly well beyond a safe zone. All spectators should watch the recovery operation carefully and be ready to react to any danger.
All right, so Justin, single line pull, the simplest of all winch rigging setups. So what we did is we had an anchor, which in this case was a vehicle, and we anchored it appropriately. We rigged the situation, we rigged the line. He was using his winch, and that winch on that vehicle that was stuck, that puts this in a self-recovery situation. So he was self-recovering. This could be any anchor. It could be a vehicle, a tree, a boulder,
rock, anything.
Yeah, whatever. But on this particular trail, this vehicle was fine, that vehicle got stuck. So a single line pull was more than enough to get this vehicle unstuck, doing all the things that we did.